The Red Necklace, Disc 3. Maitre Tardeo returned to the letter and read the last paragraph, in which the Count inquired after Sido's health and asked for reassurance that she was being well cared for. At this, the Marquis looked most uncomfortable. The Count ends his letter by saying that he is looking for a wife. He believes your daughter could well be suitable. If that is the case, and you agree to the marriage, all your debts will be cancelled.
She will, of course, be married into an aristocratic family. That goes without saying,
the Marquis said flatly. One redeeming sentence, thought Maitre Tardeo. Still, he was sure it had more to do with the Marquis's pride than his daughter's well-being. "And for how long do you intend to keep her imprisoned in her chamber?" asked the lawyer.
"What? Do you expect me to have her run around under my feet? She is well cared for and out of sight."
The Marquis dusted his thin, mean lips with a napkin.
"I regret to say that she is most decidedly plain. Then there is her limp. She is, in my view, a broken vase, never to be made whole."
Tardeo's dislike of this man was growing with every remark he made, and he said, not without a touch of irony, "I agree that for Mademoiselle Sido to marry the Count is not ideal. His title is unfamiliar, and his lineage does not, I am sure, stretch back as far as the grand and honourable name of Ville-Duval. But that aside, are you aware of what such a marriage would mean?"
"If you mean she will be off my hands, all well and good."
"Your father's will
What of it?"
said the Marquis with a dismissive wave of his hand.
"The subject bores me."
"I take it, then, that you have no objection to the fact that once the marriage takes place, your daughter comes into her inheritance from her grandfather's will, which, of course, her new husband will have at his disposal."
"I still have my estates in Normandy,"
the Marquis said loudly. "No," said the lawyer. "You have the right to take all the income from the land until your daughter is married. On her wedding day, they will become her property and that of her husband, Count Kaliowski."
"Impossible! I will not allow it,"
said the Marquis.
"How much do the estates bring in?"
"Not as much as they should. Your tenants have taken flight without paying their rents. The crops have failed. Your barns have been ransacked by starving peasants. Instead of attending to these matters, you have remained here and built a garden and a wall. In short, there is no money to pay off your debts, if that is what you were hoping." Finally, the Marquis understood.
"I don't want to hear any more,"
he said, putting his hands over his ears.
"Your sermons are putting me out of humour."
Maitre Tardeo had no intention of stopping. "There is something written at the very bottom of the letter. Not in white ink, but in red. Remember your wife." The lawyer observed with interest the Marquis's shaking hand.
"Write and tell him I will give his proposition some thought."
"And what, pray, will you do if the situation in Paris worsens, and there is a revolution?" For a moment the Marquis said nothing, just stared fixedly at the candle.
"That is inconceivable," he said at last. "The king will put down any such revolt."
There was a sudden din outside in the corridor. The Marquis ordered Jacques, the butler, to go and investigate. He returned with the Marquis's valet, who could hardly contain his excitement.
"What is going on?"
said the Marquis, standing up.
"Sir," said Luc, "we have just received extraordinary news from Paris. The Bastille has fallen."
"Fallen?" repeated the Marquis.
"What do you mean, fallen?" "The citizens have stormed the fortress. They fired cannons at the wall and brought it tumbling down." "The Bastille is no more!" said Jacques. "The governor and the provost have both been killed. Their heads are being carried through the city on pikes." He was carried away by his enthusiasm. "Vive la nation!" he cried. The Marquis collapsed on his chair.